So New Year's resolution is one thing that I know that a lot of people, are afraid of admitting that the reason why a lot of them don't like the idea of, setting goals for a new year or having, what we call the New Year's resolution is because a lot of the times we actually don't end up achieving any of the goals. We just, are not able to either even start or be consistent with achieving the goals that we set out to achieve in the new year. And for me, a lot of the times when I have set some goals to achieve in the new year and I have not achieved as much, it's usually because one, I don't have these things documented, and to be honest, the only thing I have is the goal or the goals that I want to achieve, and there is no clear plan on how to execute on a lot of those goals. And I think, today being the last day of the year, I think it's the perfect time to set goals. I think that goal setting is one of the things that is going to help you to, stay focused in the new year and be able to direct your efforts to, where it's going to make the most impact. It's also going to help you to be able to track your progress, at the end of the year. Or more importantly, it's also going to help you to stay motivated. So a lot of the tips that I'm going to be sharing in this video are things that I have used myself in the past, and I specifically used this particular method in 2022, and I have to say that I did achieve a lot of the goals that I set out to achieve in 2022. Not all, but I did achieve, a good chunk and the higher priority goals for my year. So now let's dive right into some tips on how to set your goals and achieve them in the new year. So one of the mistakes that I used to make in the past is that I would just have like a really long list of goals, and some might be related, some might not be related. But when I start to see the really long list, I start to get really overwhelmed. But what I started to do, and which is like my first tip, is to have a theme around my goals. So themes are like, buckets of similar goals. So I'm able to see my goals as maybe, even though they might be like a list of, let's say, 10 things that I want to achieve in the new year. But when I'm looking at my goals, when it's written down, it's looking more like, I'm looking around 5 headings. So that way I'm able to organize my goals, and I'm also able to adequately track where I'm with any of my goals. So for example, in 2023, you can have your goals in different themes like your health, your career, your personal development, your finances, your spiritual life. So you can have those themes as, hey, these are different things that I would like to be able to achieve something within this theme in the new year. And that is like a good place to start. And then under each theme, I start to write down what are the most important things for me to achieve as my goals under each of those themes that I've set out. For example, under your health, you could have goals around maybe developing a habit to go to the gym regularly, maybe going for checkups, or maybe doing a particular surgery. Whatever thing that you have under your health, you can put that under your goals. So for the purpose of this video, I would probably pick a goal within maybe 3 or 4 themes that I'm going to select, and then I would show you how I would break down what I need to do to achieve those goals and prioritize them. So let's say, for example, under health, which is what we started with, let's say the goal is to develop a habit of going to the gym regularly. Right. So I would have that as a goal. Next thing I want to look at is what sort of priority is this goal, right? So I would use things like P1, P2. So priority 1 is like the highest priority. Priority 2 is like maybe the second highest priority. So I would use that to prioritize the goals that I have under the theme. So the next thing that I would probably be looking at is what are the tasks that I need to do to really achieve the goal of developing the habit of going to the gym. And the reason why this is important is because a lot of the times when you set goals and you don't have like a clear direction on how to achieve it, that's when you fall into things like overthinking, or getting overwhelmed. It's not like you will not still overthink or get overwhelmed even after you've done this, but it reduces your chances of not even getting started, which is where a lot of people get stuck. So one of the things that I may want to do is, okay, if I want to develop the habit of going to the gym, maybe the first thing I want to do is register at a gym. The next thing I may be thinking about is I want to maybe hire a personal trainer. I want to buy gym clothes. I want to set the timetable for going to the gym. So I work Mondays to Fridays. What are the convenient times for me to work out? So what this is going to help you to do is help you with step-by-step process of the things that you need to do before you can maybe say that you have developed the habit of going to the gym, right? So it will help you track those things. And depending on the priority that you've attached to this particular goal, then you will now set timelines of when you want to start or when you think that you ought to have achieved the goal. So let's look at another example under a different theme. So let's say this is career development. Let's say you have two goals under this theme. Let's say one is to become a senior manager at your company. And then maybe the next one is to learn to code. The next step you want to do is prioritize these goals, like I said earlier in my first example. Let's say you require coding skills in order to become a senior manager at your office. It means that, the first thing and the highest priority would be for you to prioritize learning how to code. So your P1 is going to be learn to code, and then your P2 is going to be become a senior manager. And then under your highest priority, which is to learn how to code, then you can list the steps that you need in order to learn how to code. Do you want to enroll yourself in a boot camp? Do you need to buy yourself a laptop if you don't have one? Is it your company that is going to pay for it, or you have to finance it yourself? What language are you learning? What sort of personal project are you going to select in order to keep practicing? And then you now want to set a timeline for when you think you want to have achieved this goal. And this is how you have to be looking at your goals. A lot of the times, when you set those goals and you cannot break them down, you can easily get overwhelmed. And that's what we're trying to avoid in 2023, that we can write things down and then break them down. And when you start to break them down, you can start to see where the complexities are for you. What are the things that are most difficult for you to achieve? Do you need people to support you? Do you need accountability partners? These are things that you have to think about when you're setting your goals. So it's clear, it's under the theme, you have the steps, and there are times that you actually don't even know like the step-by-step process of achieving this goal. One of your steps could be research X to achieve this goal, right? So let's say you don't know, let's say, for example, you want to get into real estate and you don't know anything about real estate. Your first step could be research how to get into real estate. So these are some of the things that you have to really think about when you're trying to set your goals. And then you can look at this around your financial goals as well, your personal development goals as well. If you're trying to take a holiday, you want to make sure that you're able to break down everything that you're going to need in order to be able to take a holiday. If you have like a savings goal or an investment goal, you have to be able to break it down. Breaking down these goals will always make the goals look more manageable and more achievable to you as you start to go along the journey. The next thing I try to do is plug the theme, the goals, the steps, just plug it into my yearly roadmap. I do create like roadmaps for myself, and you can use any tool that you find most convenient for you. You can use a spreadsheet. You can decide to use maybe a roadmap planning tool. I currently use Notion as the tool for tracking my goals, or you can even decide to just, set goals and timetable and create them in your calendar. So you get alerts, I need to be able to do this thing by this time, and set reminders for yourself. It could be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. So speaking of timeline, one of the things that I've realized is that even after setting goals and, planning for the year, I start to feel a bit, burnt out, maybe after like maybe the first or second quarter of the year. And the reason why I set the priorities that I set, the P ones, is that I try to move the P ones as much as I can within, all the themes that I have, move them to like the beginning of the year. I realize that I'm more motivated at the beginning of the year. I have a bit more energy. It's the time when, I'm really feeling like, hey, I really want to, make the changes that I want to make to my life in the year. So that way I'm able to achieve a lot of the higher priority goals that I have within my themes at the beginning of the year before I start to feel, burnt out. And I don't also feel as bad if I'm not able to achieve some of the lower priority goals, if you understand what I mean. Another thing that I try to do is, even though achieving the goal is a reward, another thing that I try to do is have some sort of reward for my reward, if that makes any sense. So when I achieve those goals, I do have small rewards that I give to myself. It could be that maybe I plan like a small getaway. It could be that I'm buying myself something for achieving the goal. It could be anything, so that I still feel, a bit motivated to continue on the journey. Another thing that I also try to do is, there are times that you set a goal and along the year, something else would come up that is of a much higher priority than any of the things that you set. And it's okay for you to feel like you want to adjust your goals. So one of the things that maybe some people do is that they just get fixated on the things that they're trying to do. And yes, in as much as, hey, new things might look like distractions, but based on prioritization strategy, like, oh, is this going to help me to move closer to my goal? Is this a better option for me? Is this one more easily achievable? These are things that you can use to make your decisions whether or not to, continue to pursue the things that you've set out for, or maybe just adjust yourself slightly in the year as you're going along. And what I realized is that goal setting, New Year's resolution, it may sound like, yeah, it's something that people just do, but I've realized that, especially in 2022, it has to be a very conscious and deliberate process. And like I said, it's okay even if you don't achieve everything, but you just have to keep moving. Not having a goal, not having a plan is more like, you're planning to fail, from that saying, failing to plan is planning to fail. And it's really important that whatever thing you think you need, that you're able to look at it as a big picture. And even if you're not following these steps, some people use pictures, some people use different things in order to plan out their year. But it's absolutely important that we have things that we're working towards. And it's a thing that, keeps us going as human beings, if you really think about it. And I hope that if you haven't set any goals for the year, that you start today, immediately after this video. And if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you share with your loved ones. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, now is the time to do so. So this is my last video for 2022. I appreciate every single person who has watched my videos, who've subscribed to my channel so much, because this is one of the biggest things that I think I've had to do this year. Just putting myself out there and just, stop doubting myself. And thank you for coming along on this journey with me. And I will see you in 2023. Bye.